William will quite rightly stare down claims that Meghan Markle is threatening to sue.
Members of the UK Parliament have taken a stand beside Meghan Markle, so let's take a quick listen to Holly Lynch, a member of the UK.
Welcome back to Royal Drama Updates. If you love royal scandals and breaking palace news, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you never miss the next royal twist. The prince has made an unprecedented move to silence the rising influence of his sister-in-law. Tension is escalating around Meghan's latest project, a bold venture that is reshaping, and, some argue, damaging, what it means to belong to the royal empire. This raises pressing questions. How is the Duchess of Sussex's new business creating nationwide headlines and shifting the monarchy's public image? And what ripple effects could Prince William's furious response set into motion? Join us as we unveil the untold events that unfolded behind the scenes of this unfolding drama, events involving family bonds that were never meant to be tested. At the highest levels of the British monarchy, a quiet but significant conflict is taking place. It centers on King Charles and his son, Prince William. Recently, the two made a rare joint public appearance for a cause close to their hearts. On the surface, you might expect their leadership styles to complement each other, but in reality, they couldn't be more different. The tension stems from two fundamentally opposing philosophies. King Charles believes deeply in mercy and understanding individual circumstances. His ruling style places family above all else. He prefers private, behind-the-scenes discussions over tea, trusting that reconciliation is the best method for resolving issues within the royal household. It's not entirely his fault. This is how he was raised, and he views this gentler approach as the noble and dignified way to guide the monarchy. To a growing number of observers, especially his own son, this system has too many vulnerabilities. They view Charles's kindness and desire for unity as a weakness, one that no other successful monarch would rely upon. This approach has historically allowed certain royals to enjoy all the benefits of their status while avoiding any responsibility to help preserve the institution's legacy. One notable example, critics argue, is the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. Married to Prince Harry, Meghan was seen by many as someone who used her royal ties primarily to elevate her personal brand rather than strengthen the crown. Her sense of royal duty was minimal, and this pattern was not uncommon among others within the family. Yet Meghan became the most prominent face of this trend. Prince William has observed this dynamic slowly unfold for years. From his perspective, his father's leniency, and his in-laws' relaxed, indifferent attitudes, are not healing the monarchy's troubles. Instead, he believes they are weakening a once powerful institution, giving unearned platforms to those who wish to speak against it, even as public faith in the crown continues to erode. In William's view, his father's methods are not holding the monarchy together, they are actively making its challenges worse. William views his sister-in-law's actions as the final bitter icing on the cake, clear proof of his long-held concerns. Matters reached a breaking point during a tense meeting between father and son. It became painfully obvious that they were looking at the situation from completely different angles. King Charles sees family bonds that are simply in need of repair. To him, his sons, his daughter-in-law, and other relatives can resolve their issues through private conversations focused on emotions and understanding. William, however, sees something entirely different. To him, the problem requires firm rules and immediate enforcement of power. He believes weak branches must be cut away before they threaten the health of the entire tree. In his eyes, the monarchy has survived for 1,000 years because its rules were clear, its structure firm, and its leadership decisive. It adapted when necessary, but it also stood unmoving when the moment required strength. Above all, it had a strong backbone, something William believes the current monarchy, fairly or not, is lacking. He worries the situation will only deteriorate unless major changes are made. And instead of waiting until the crown eventually becomes his, William is already taking action. He is quietly assembling a team of experts and strategic thinkers who will help him restore the royal name to its former strength. This team is studying how the monarchy once operated, how other European monarchies function today, and which strategies from past royal leaders ensured long-term survival. Their goal is to build a modern framework of rules with no loopholes. Loopholes William feels are abundant in his father's system. This is not a plan rooted in revenge or a desire to prove himself. William is laying a foundation for the future, ensuring the stability and survival of the empire he was born into, cares deeply about, and is destined to one day rule. His vision includes strict guidelines defining who is considered a working royal, who may participate in royal duties, and who deserves the privileges and protections of royal status. At present, the lines around royal identity are blurred. To William, the rule is simple: if you serve the crown, you remain part of it; if you don't, you step out. This sends a clear warning to those, like Meghan, whose royal relevance may be slipping. William's stance is not without reason. Many believe a certain group of royals pushed him to this breaking point. To understand this, one must look at the attention-seeking tendencies that have existed within royal circles for centuries. Throughout history, the pursuit of status and wealth has been a powerful human motivator, and the monarchy is no exception. Everyone seems to want to be associated with the royal household, or, more accurately, to be a royal themselves. This mindset is the exact opposite of what William envisions. He believes the royal title should belong only to those who genuinely work for the institution, not those who use the name for personal gain. He is determined to eliminate this dynamic, which he feels his father allowed to go unchecked for far too long. Though he has not yet been crowned, William believes that despite his father's more forgiving approach, he must intervene to preserve what he sees as a crumbling British monarchy. His philosophy can be summed up in one word: exclusivity. In his view, you either commit fully, serve the title, uphold the traditions, and dedicate your life to the crown, or you pursue independence, public approval, and personal ambition, and the crown does not accompany you. To William, the crown means everything. And because it means everything, he believes it cannot belong to everyone. Exclusivity, William believes, is what gives the monarchy its power. You cannot have distant relatives or loosely connected individuals identifying as royals. If that becomes the norm, what does it truly mean to be royal? In his view, nothing at all. This is a question he reportedly asks himself repeatedly. William is not trying to settle old scores or stage a dramatic show of authority. He is trying to preserve the dignity the royal household once upheld. Transitioning from the old system to a modern monarchy will require significant changes. It means keeping what matters and fixing what doesn't. Most importantly, it involves drawing firm boundaries, lines King Charles was never able to establish due to his emotional attachments. The current framework, built on centuries-old traditions and revised protocols, may no longer be effective in today's world. William and his team are working behind the scenes to redesign it. He wants to reshape the meaning of royal titles. In his system, those who work for the crown and offer true service earn the right to be royal and to hold the HRH title. With new polls showing a majority of Brits want Harry stripped of his HRH status, public conversation is intensifying. Royal experts note that under William's model, public influence and privileges would belong only to those serving the institution. Those who do not serve would not receive the same recognition. It's a straightforward plan focused on transition and preserving the monarchy's core identity. This new model targets attention-seeking royals who pursue Netflix deals, podcasts, and unnecessary interviews. In William's view, these endeavors serve individual interests, not the crown. You are welcomed back only when you return to serve the institution. While pursuing independence and public validation through the family name, you are not a royal, you are simply an attention-seeking relative. The titles of king and queen must mean something, and William is determined to restore that meaning. His system places judgment in the hands of those who lead the monarchy, not the media, not public opinion. The king, the queen, and the institution itself will decide who is truly royal. Full-time servants of the crown? Yes, they are royal. Family members with no official duties? No, they are not. They may remain relevant as relatives, but they are not royalty unless they actively serve. The concept is strong in theory, but how can such boundaries be enforced? To build this framework, Prince William knew he could not work alone. He needed a team. Not just British advisors, but global experts, from Britain, Sweden, Denmark, and Germany. He assembled an elite team to address what he sees as an elite problem. These nations have successfully transformed their monarchies into modern, functional institutions, and William sought to learn how they maintained relevance while setting firm boundaries. With their guidance, William began constructing a modern playbook, something entirely different from anything King Charles might have created. Charles, in similar circumstances, would have gathered everyone's opinions and aimed for compromise so all parties felt heard. William, however, approached the situation not as a family matter but as the leadership of the British monarchy. He believes the institution needs a savior and a new rule book, the very one he and his team are tirelessly developing. A working monarchy, in William's view, cannot operate like a family business where emotions guide every decision. It must function as a serious institution with clear, firm rules. These rules must be followed completely, not selectively when convenient. This is the foundation of the monarchy William envisions, one that is strong, defined, and built to last. Everyone involved must be either fully committed or entirely removed. There is no middle ground. In William's vision, members of the monarchy must demonstrate complete dedication to the crown. The mechanism he intended to use for implementing this new style of governance was simple, perhaps even dull at first glance, but remarkably effective. It relied on letters and official documents delivered through the postal service. These letters, stamped with the royal seal and signed by the monarch, would communicate new rules and decisions. This system left no space for debate. There was no option to respond. Once a letter arrived, the recipient knew their fate. A copy was archived within the royal records, solidifying the decision. There was no need for appeals or complaints. The king, queen, and governing body had already spoken. To William, this was the perfect method for delivering new laws, firm, final, and free from unnecessary drama. For centuries, paperwork and formal documentation have been powerful tools of the British monarchy. William believed modern royals needed to embrace these tools again, more frequently and far more assertively. Official documents create structure. They offer clarity. They eliminate confusion. A letter could simply state, "Thank you for your service. The monarchy is moving on. You are no longer considered royal." No arguments. No emotional back and forth. Just a new rule, instantly effective. This was the pattern William and his team were crafting, a towering wall with the word "boundary" boldly written across it. The new framework established that working members of the royal family would retain their status. However, distant relatives and non-working family members, while respected, would no longer be recognized as royalty. To make this radical change official, William needed only one thing: King Charles's signature. No public vote. No internal debate. Just the approval of the sovereign. This framework was designed with deserting royals in mind. One particular figure would be significantly impacted by it, the Duchess of Sussex, often referred to by critics as the Duchess of Desertion. But what happens when one of the most prominent deserters is a high-ranking member of the monarchy itself? Meghan Markle was central to William's concern. Her entire public persona and business empire were built around one word: royal. Her HRH title was her greatest asset. The new boundaries William envisioned would become one of the largest challenges her career had ever faced. If enacted, the law would strip her of her HRH status, reducing her to simply the Duchess of Sussex. While the Duchess title would remain in formal documents, it would no longer carry the weight it once did. Meghan's brand relied heavily on the power of her royal connection. She had cultivated a media empire based on the status, symbolism, and influence that came with her title, not the duties traditionally required of it. This was precisely the trend William opposed, the rise of the social media royal. This issue also brought the two brothers, William and Harry, into conflict. Even Harry was not immune to the restructuring. He too would be effectively reduced to the Duke of Sussex in practical terms. William's intentions were not rooted in personal resentment. He was enforcing a consistent definition of what it meant to be a working royal. Neither Harry nor Meghan fulfilled those duties any longer. Without the active use of their prince and princess titles, Meghan would no longer hold the official influence she once possessed. The shift was not personal, it was structural. And it was William's attempt to redefine royalty for a changing era. She would be seen as less important in the eyes of the media, who often base a person's relevance on the official title they hold. Losing her title would create a looming disaster for her brand because the Duchess of Sussex simply held more weight. It opened doors in the powerful rooms where she operated so frequently. Even after she and her family left the palace and relocated, she never stopped building. Instead, she expanded her empire to fit her new reality. After all, the Duchess of Sussex was still a significant title, tightly connected to the royal institution. Everything she built was tied to that identity. Her empire did not collapse as drastically as one might expect. It continued operating on the same wavelength, maintained by the prestige of royalty. She wasn't just another celebrity, she was a former working royal, and that distinction mattered. The Duchess of Sussex remained a strong title in many ways, yet it was undeniably losing relevance as Prince William's vision for the future monarchy became clearer and more defined. Naturally, her team grew concerned. Her name, influence, and public relevance were all connected to her royal association. Every room she entered, every podcast, every media appearance, her introduction always relied on the Duchess of Sussex title. It was the foundation of her views, influence, and visibility. Her team understood that she would lose a substantial portion of her value once that title no longer carried the same weight. She knew the difference between being a regular celebrity and being a member of royalty, even one who stepped away. She knew problems were coming. Everyone did. All her collaborations, partnerships, and high-profile coverage were on the verge of decline. They were going to fade gradually, just like the extra branches being trimmed from the royal household. It was a looming nightmare for her. Prince William, however, was not concerned with her media relevance. That had nothing to do with the crown. His focus was on protecting the monarchy and stabilizing an institution that had weathered years of turmoil. His only priority was restoring the strength of the once great British monarchy. It was a bold and, arguably, necessary idea, one that could even be called perfect. And though it seemed original, it was not without precedent. Throughout history, monarchies have experienced similar shifts and survived them. Regime changes tend to follow familiar patterns across different eras and nations, despite the evolving names and faces involved. The underlying rhythm remains the same. Leaders borrow strategies from their predecessors, call it political inspiration or historical plagiarism. The strategy William considered wasn't a spontaneous idea. It was the product of years of observation and study. He had examined how various modern monarchies made successful transitions from ancient traditions into contemporary relevance. He paid close attention to how they managed their titles, their households, and the scope of their family's public roles. One case stood out above all others: Queen Margrethe II of Denmark. Years earlier, she made a move that sent shockwaves through European politics. In a bold and controversial decision, she stripped 4 of her own grandchildren of their royal titles. The world reacted with disbelief, yet the move became a defining example of decisive, modernizing leadership. And Prince William could not ignore it. These were not distant relatives or adopted family members, they were Queen Margrethe's own biological grandchildren. Her decision sent a powerful message about what the Danish monarchy stood for, and what a monarchy should stand for. This was exactly the kind of clarity Prince William had been searching for. When she announced the decision, she explained that having too many people with royal titles created confusion. And in a monarchy, confusion is unacceptable. You need clarity. You need hierarchy. You need power. A monarchy is a sovereign system, so it requires sovereignty, not a situation where everyone is included simply for sentiment. For Prince William and his team, this idea clicked instantly. It perfectly captured the sovereignty and decisiveness a modern monarchy required. It clarified who truly represented the royal family on a national and global scale. William studied the public reaction carefully, along with how Queen Margrethe handled the backlash that followed her controversial decision. Her approach offered him valuable insight into how to navigate the consequences if he ever chose to implement a similar restructuring within the British monarchy. Of course, the differences between Britain and Denmark are enormous, but this only strengthened William's resolve to gather a team of international experts. Their job was to analyze global monarchies and advise him on strategies that worked, and those that failed. Many people spoke about how difficult the Danish decision was for the family members involved. But looking back, it proved necessary. The Danish monarchy emerged stronger, more unified, and stripped of many internal weaknesses that had held it back. Prince William's focus wasn't only on what Queen Margrethe did, but how she did it. Her decision was quiet, calculated, and absolute, qualities that distinguished her leadership style. It was something his own father would never have attempted. She implemented the change with poise, confidence, and unmistakable authority. This was the model William admired, the kind of leadership he envisioned for himself: firm, strategic, and unwavering. He believed he had the strength to do what needed to be done, and he knew his father simply wasn't prepared to take such bold steps. His conclusion was unmistakably clear: monarchies must adapt before they are forced to. You don't wait for a crisis to strike, you act when one looms on the horizon. When too many people hold royal titles and dilute the brand, change becomes inevitable. Prince William wasn't just studying Denmark. He meticulously examined Sweden, the Netherlands, and Spain, analyzing how other monarchies functioned and evolve. His goal was to understand how they maintained relevance without sacrificing centuries of culture and tradition. For William, the key question was constant: how do you stay relevant in the 21st century without losing the essence of what makes a monarchy special? Meanwhile, the stage was set for a final showdown between Prince William and the Dukes of Sussex, Harry and Meghan. While William worked in London to build a new framework for the monarchy, Meghan's team, thousands of miles away, began receiving subtle signals. Words like title, reforms, restructuring, and boycotting seeped through the grapevine, sparking immediate concern. Meghan's team, just as capable and strategic as William's, began rapidly mapping out scenarios, trying to find a way to protect her personal brand from the impending system. The stakes were high on both sides. William was fighting for the relevance and sovereignty of the British monarchy, while Meghan was fighting for the survival of her media and public influence. As the messages from London grew more concrete, her team devised a plan, a trademark for the name Duchess of Sussex. This last-ditch effort aimed to preserve what remained of her status. Even though her royal influence had already waned, they sought to secure her identity and brand permanently, shifting the conversation away from official protocols and toward her name recognition. It was a clever strategy, at least on the surface. If successful, Meghan could retain public acknowledgement of her title, even as the monarchy redefined who qualified as a working royal. But Buckingham Palace saw this move from miles away. Existing protocols had long been in place to prevent individuals from commercializing or personalizing public royal titles. The attempt to trademark the Duchess of Sussex was swiftly blocked by the palace before any paperwork could gain traction. This was a battle Meghan could not win. Her team was up against a well-prepared and strategically flexible Prince William, whose team had contingencies for every possible scenario. The outcome was inevitable. The era of royals using their titles purely for personal gain had come to an end. Prince William had ensured that only those who served the crown would retain the privileges and recognition of royalty. In the end, Meghan and other royals like her, who valued the title for personal benefit rather than service, lost their influence. It was a decisive moment, reflecting William's long-term vision for a modern, disciplined monarchy. Now, consider this: if you were in Prince Harry's shoes, how would you have reacted? And how do you think it felt for Meghan and her team to lose so much relevance so quickly? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates, and click on the next video to continue following this royal saga.